Hi guys, my name is Ryan, and if you've seen any of my videos before, you know that I have a series called Thrones of Steam. And if you're new here, it doesn't matter because I scrapped the story anyways. Well, I would say more like archived for later because I realized that I had a better potential with a different story. Now, if you're wondering why this is at all relevant, I'm going to be redesigning my used to be Thrones of Steam characters into my new story, Veins of the Aether. Now, the reason why I'm going to be doing this is because I actually completely changed my concept, and these characters are going to be very simple because I want to eventually put them into some type of comic or little short story that I want to be able to draw over and over again. And honestly, with super detailed and super complicated character designs, that's not always so easy. And obviously, if you're a lazy artist, you don't want to do that. That is literally the whole point. Now, before we start, just a disclaimer, I am not at all qualified to be giving you guys this advice. I'm a lazy artist. I'm not a professional. I'm just some random girl on the internet. I literally cannot tell you what to do. These are just simple tips and tricks that I've learned and am now relaying onto you. So let's get to the video. My first tip is showing and not telling. Why is this important? In a lot of your favorite animes and mangas, any type of media that you consume, the characters end up showing you how they react to what their personality is rather than telling you. Jinx from Arcane is a really good example of this. The entire show decides to show us how Jinx goes through her life after being traumatized, after killing her basically entire family. They show how that messed her up, and every action that she does from then on always relays back to that. There was no narrator sitting down and saying that the reason why Jinx hates Caitlyn is because her parents were killed by enforcers. They show that through the way that she reacts and interacts with Caitlyn. So when it comes to relaying this for your own characters, you want to make sure that not only in their design, but the way that you write them in their backstory, that you show things through their character design of things that happened in the past rather than saying things that happened from the past. If you have a warrior knight who fought a dragon, maybe they're so powerful that they didn't get a scratch, but it could be an interesting plot point or character point to add some type of scar. Maybe they have an eye patch from that. Maybe they lost a limb from that. Things to show the story rather than explaining the story. My next tip is just diversity. And this can technically be broken up into a couple of different sections, but diversity itself is having different types of skin tones, having different types of species, having different types of ethnicities / nationalities, having different types of poses, different types of expressions, different types of body types, different types of hair types. I'm not going to be very specific with what I necessarily point out, but having different types of hair types and hair textures, maybe doing a crazy hairstyle that defies gravity, or something super long and something that you may not have seen before. Having different skin tones like purple, blue. It doesn't always necessarily have to be a typical skin tone. Some things that you can look up is different skin conditions, different facial conditions, different conditions in general. Things like vitiligo, moles, cleft lip, a Glasgow smile, a lazy eye, a tooth gap, or a snaggletooth. Regardless of what you add, just make sure that you yourself know the specific meaning behind it. And I'm not saying that everything has to have a specific meaning, because a meaning could be that it has no meaning. But as long as you are aware of everything that you put and keep out of your character design and for what reason that is, it can make your character design so much better. My next tip is posing. This is super important, as simple as it may be. Posing transcends from personality. So however you present / draw your character is how we're going to assume that their personality is, because posing portrays personality. For example, a character like Okurun from Dandadan, you can tell that he's very shy, nervous from the way that he slouches a lot. He always has his hands kind of to himself. His head is down and he avoids eye contact. That's how you can tell that he's a shy, nervous, introverted, nerdy character. And on the contrary, any type of heroine character will portray the opposite of that. The character I can think of is Mario, who always walks with his head up high. His chest is always puffed out. I don't know if it's just his beer belly or if it's his chest, but you get my point. He always acts without thinking. Mario 3D World, he jumps in the pipe directly after Peach without a thought. Things like that to show how they are and who they are as a character. My next tip is color theory. And I know, like, boo, everybody hates color theory, boo, bad, whatever, but it honestly really helps with character designs. I'm not a teacher, so I'm not gonna sit here and try to explain to you guys, but I think the most important things to be concerned with is complementary colors, tertiary colors, and split complementary colors, because I think it really helps with hues and tones and making everything mesh well. And then also, my character Laz is not from Veins of the Aether at all, but I think he's a really good example of me using complementary colors to make a character design, because obviously he's purple, but his most noticeable marks are yellow and, you know, color wheel, all that stuff. I don't know. Look it up. Look into it. I promise it is worth it, and it will help you drastically. And if you're also too lazy to kind of figure out color theory and look anything up, you can just look up color palettes online, or like character design color palettes, regular color palettes, and you can do like the 3 color design challenge or things like that in order to use and find colors for your character designs. Now, I've given you guys pretty practical tips that you can really write down on paper and improve on, and you will see physical improvement. But my last tip is that everything has been done before. There are millions of artists who create thousands of tropes, who make hundreds of characters with tens of designs, but there is only one you. Creativity is an entirely personal experience, and it's okay if your designs or ideas are considered cliche or overdone. And there's also just a lot of people who like to compare characters to other bigger name, I don't want to say name brand, but like more popular characters. It's okay to have a pretty average OC. You don't have to completely reinvent the wheel in order to create a fun and engaging OC that has a really good storyline. I know a lot of these tips are pretty average and you may or may not have heard them from other videos, but I hope my explanation allows you to think a little harder or just explore and experiment more with what characters you come up with. I hope this video was somewhat helpful to anybody who is looking to make a little bit less boring OC. And if it didn't help you, sorry. I just want to say thank you guys so much for the love and support. It really means a lot to me. Sorry that this video took a little long. I did, in fact, try to eventually resolve, and I will say that this editing software is not for the weak, but we get through it. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope it helped you, and I will see you guys in the next one.